Hi, welcome to Inside News. My name is Mike Jones. Tonight, another candidates forum. We're going to be at the Merlin North Valley Business Association Candidates Forum, and that should be starting up here shortly. Stick around.
So the commissioner candidates can sit, obviously, any place you would like. Go ahead. I like that. We're going to open up, and each one of you will have 3 minutes to introduce yourselves. Tell people what you're standing for, what your platform is for, why we should vote for you. And then after that, we have people that have given you questions. We will ask questions. Some of the questions have been addressed to one candidate. Others are for all of the candidates. So when we ask you that question, because we are short on time, obviously, we're going to give you 2 minutes to answer the question, and then at the end of the night, we'll give you 2 minutes to give a closing statement. If you have a rebuttal question yourselves, please keep it down to 1 minute because we are so short on time. And our timer is sitting in the fire truck, so when your time's up, they're going to blast you with now. Yes, sir. 3 minutes. Okay. Is everyone ready? And Lily Morgan is coming. She had called and said she's going to be running a little bit late, but she will be here. So if we are ready to start, we will start over at that corner, and we have Ronald Smith is going to start. 3 minutes, please.
Can we use this right here?
Yes. Yes.
There we go. That's good. Hi, I'm Ronald A. Smith. I'm a hometown candidate with American Values. I was born right here in Grand Pass. My family settled in Dillsbury County over 100 years ago. I believe in Dillsbury County's bright future. I think there's 3 areas that we need to focus on in the county. We need to focus on a healthy economy, a healthy community, and a healthy forest. If we're focused on these 3 areas, I think we can have a healthy and prosperous Dillsbury County. I think most people would agree our economy is not healthy at this time. I think we have a majority of people, about 50% of the people, on some kind of government handout. Has anybody seen the new building DHS is building downtown? It's huge. I think if we'll focus on streamlining the process for businesses, it's already hard enough in the state of Oregon to get a business started with LCGC and Senate Bill 100. So we don't need to make it even harder at the county level. So we need to streamline the process, roll out the red carpet, and invite businesses into our community. I think we need to focus on a healthy community. I think most people would realize that our community is not healthy right now. We have a serious drug problem. I think it's awful strange that since marijuana was legalized, we forgot about amphetamines and heroin, which are our bigger problems in driving our crime. This is going to take a community effort, but a healthy economy will help alleviate that problem. We also have a serious problem with homelessness. I think that's part of the problem that's going to be a community thing, and we need to work together as a community. There again, a healthy economy will help alleviate some of that problem. And we have a serious problem with our healthy forests. Our forests are not healthy at this time. And they're overcrowded. There's too many trees per acre, and they're just waiting for a lightning strike that will have another catastrophic wildfire. Historically and traditionally, those forests are what's funded our whole county. And you can do it again. I wonder why we don't spend as much time figuring out how to lobby the federal and state to get us to cut on the ONC lands as we do spending time to tax people. If we spend half the time that we spend on figuring out how to tax people, on getting that cut back on the O&T lands especially, that would fund our law enforcement. That historically and traditionally is where our money came from. Josephine County is a great place of natural beauty. And still, after 150 years of producing natural resources, we still have that natural beauty. I think we can go there again. We just have to have the will. We have to have the community unity to do it. But those three areas, healthy economy, healthy community, and healthy forest. And then, of course, we have to have trust and ethics in government. So, how much time do I have?
10 seconds.
8 seconds. Thank you all. Appreciate you both.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Paul Walter. One thing that for people who know me, I'm a straight shooter. I will always tell you the truth, and it's not always popular. So I will tell you the truth. The reason we are in this mess in this country, and most of you know that we're at the edge of a cliff right now this year, depending on what happens nationally and locally, is because we've been voting the wrong people to office. And you know the history of Josephine County, or what we have here. Now we have 3 people here that are running tonight that I'm going to tell you I hope you don't vote for. That's Lily Morgan, because she's a PERS recipient, and you work for her government her whole life. So all this means is if she gets in to be a county commissioner, all she's going to do is vote for big taxes and big fees to raise more money for the county and on the backs of you, property owners, to fund her PERS program. And then Dan DeYoung and Lily Morgan, also on the city council, city of Grants Pass, never liked the county, and I believe, in my opinion, they want to take over the county with those 2 commissioner candidates. I'm also speaking against Keith Heck. I like him as a person, but I don't like him as a candidate because he needs 5 years, minimum 5 years, to be a PERS recipient. So he's running to make sure he gets 1 more year so he can get PERS and retire on PERS. Now, he's already got Social Security, he doesn't need PERS. And as far as what I'm going to do for you, what I'm going to do is what the commissioner should do. Look for alternate means to fund the county instead of always in the backs of the property owners. I'm tired of, instead of digging in deep and look to see what they can do, bring businesses to the county, which is economic development, it could fund the government and bring jobs to our young people. Is to always look at the property owner, which is going to raise your property taxes, raise your property taxes, raise your property taxes, and people are tired of this. We don't want any more property taxes. And people don't want any more establishment candidates, because look, why do you think Trump and Cruz are so popular nationally? Because they're not establishment candidates. People had it up to here with establishment candidates and corruption. And corruption is not just in Josephine County, and it's big time, you believe me. Corruption is also nationally. And I guess that's all I got to say. What's that? Thank you.
And a lot of these people are here to find out how you are going to solve the problems of the instead of just sling mud. Let's talk about policies, your platforms, how you're going to help us out.
My name is Tony Webb, and I was born in Grants Pass. My father had a sawmill out in Leland, and then he worked for the county assessor's office. And my mother worked for the county clerk, and then she had a small business. I have a degree in business and communication, and then I have a MBA, and I recently got a certificate in change leadership. I have 4 grown children, I have 5 grandchildren, and I'm running because I care about the county. I was born here, I have family here, and I believe that I have the skills and experience to implement the many, many solutions that are available to us. I have a background in small business. I've worked for several corporations in finance and marketing. I've served on 3 local boards, the Grants Pass Historic Buildings and Sites Commission, the Josephine County Spay and Neuter Fund, and I was the co-sponsor of the animal shelter levy that passed and kept the animal shelter open. And I was also on the Josephine County Historical Society. My 2 issues, which were basically the same as when I ran in 2012, is economic development and public safety. I've started the legal process for a nonprofit Josephine County Economic Development Alliance, because our county is the only county in in Oregon without an economic development effort countywide, and we're missing out on hundreds of thousands. Headquartered in Portland, this year has made rural economic development their priority. So we need to get in line for the money. They're giving out millions of dollars. I also organized a meeting of entrepreneurs, which started in March, and we'll be doing that periodically. As far as public safety funding, I think that we need to have a combination of solutions. One of them is better management of the 20,000 acres 30,000 acres is what Josephine County has control of, but the 20,000 can be sustainably managed for timber harvest. As an example, Douglas County has 1/5 of the acreage that we have here in Josephine County under their purview to manage. They have about 4,000 acres. And they get, the revenue they obtain from that is, okay, can I just finish that sentence? The revenue they obtain from that is $750,000 a year. So times 5, if we were to prudently manage our forests, that's almost $4 million a year. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. My name is Keith Heck. As one of the Josephine County Commissioners, representing position 2. I thank you all for coming. I hope that you are here to put faces with names and listen, and this goes across the board, not just know the answers and waiting to find out if we all agree or not. My background has been basically, we moved here in 1996. I've been involved in the community in a host of different ways, basically with churches and also the Gospel Rescue Mission. It's a matter of trying to work people to work together, and that is one struggle that we have in the county goes, is that we don't have a consensus on accomplishing a goal. We have multitudes of fingers that point. We don't have a consensus on making those fingers work. And that's one of the things that we've been trying to do. This board, not myself, I mean the board of commissioners acts corporately, does not act individually, so that makes it, I could say I have done all this stuff, and I, without the other 2, or at least one other one, is ineffective. We have hired a new planning director, and thrilled to death to have her start. She should be starting by the end of the month, and she comes out of Coos County. She's familiar with all of the planning codes, and this presents us a wonderful opportunity to do a lot of the things that you hear people say as far as hurdles to get over and difficulties to conquer, and I think she's going to be very sensitive to that. We also hired a forester, and the forester is a professional forestry man who knows his business, and we look forward to seeing how we can be even more effective in using the forest that we have of the 30,000 acres in the county to make it a bigger and a better effort. The forestry that we have is not the best kind of forestry to be harvested. It does produce, but it does not produce like the lands over like the Coos or the Curry counties. The trees are a lot more saleable. But we make working at it. We've hired a host of different people to replace those who have left. and they've left for either retirement or left taking other jobs. A clerk, he went down to Jackson County and done a great job with us, and he's also doing a good job down there. But his replacement, the one we have appointed, she also is doing a fine job, and she's up for election as well. I heard a voice. Thank you. Look forward to the rest of the evening.
Good evening. Good evening, folks. My name is Bill Ertle. I live in Williams, Oregon. Brief summary, grew up in Indiana, had a couple of degrees from Midwestern universities, worked most of my adult life in the corporate world in finance and management, served 3 years on active duty, then spent 20 years as a citizen soldier, sort of representing our country with a uniform at least once a month. I'd like to talk briefly about my core values and my guiding principles. Number one, I always like to under-promise, over-deliver. I like to focus at a job like commissioner on mid and long-term goals. I believe in an open-door policy for most of my life as employees. When I'm your commissioner, I'll have an open-door policy for all the voters and citizens. I'm thinking about some things that I saw that I think would make open door work better for you if you attend commissioner meetings, maybe more time for public input. I would take advantage of technology and use something like Twitter to reach out to the community when we have special topics going on. Some of my three things that I'm concerned about as a county commissioner would be the economy, and particularly continue to work on this transition from a timber-based economy to our new economies that are growing in the service area. And of course, we can't speak today, at least, without thinking about how the cannabis industry will fit into our new economy. My second thing would be talking about public safety. In our county, you can't talk about public safety without talking about taxation. So I have some proposals for that. And then county governance that I think needs to be changed. My first priority in terms of what I think would make our county work better is what I call county governance. And I have 2 key points there for you tonight to think about. I would like to see us have 5 commissioners instead of the 3. And I would like to see us rewrite the county charter. I've been attending a technical analysis group. We meet every Saturday morning. We've read every single word and paragraph of the county charter, and we're almost ready to finish. It was written for a different time. It's been amended so many times that it's very hard to figure out exactly what the charter intends. So we'll rewrite that. On the economy, I'm looking forward to the opportunity of 2 things. Working on what I call the Highway 199 corridor. I think we have missed it. Out of time? Okay. Thank you very much. This is Bill Ertle, and I have my complete presentation for you here as a handout tonight. So stop by, shake my hand, and pick it up.
Good evening, I'm Joseph Rice. I'm running for position number 2. I've lived in Josephine County since 2001. My family's here. I have a wife and an 11-year-old daughter. As many here, I've served our nation overseas. I did a few tours in Afghanistan as a contractor recently. One of the things, and the reason I'm running as commissioner, or for a candidate for commissioner, is this document here. It's simple. This is the Constitution. It's the supreme law of the land. Everybody in this room wants to live their life freely, and they want to do it with a minimum of governmental intrusion. We are guaranteed the pursuit of happiness. We're not guaranteed happiness, but to pursue it. So we have to protect those freedoms. We have to protect those liberties so everybody here can prosper and live as they choose to do. But within our community, we have issues that we must come together and work through. one of them being community safety, public safety. I don't believe we know what we need for deputies in Josephine County. No one seems to be able to produce a number, so I don't think it's reasonable or responsible to keep throwing money at a problem when we don't have a solution or answer. I do believe in the community in this room. Everyone in here has a set of eyes. You live on a street, you have neighbors. Watch your neighbors. You start communicating and working as a small team in the community safety. You're the first responders in our county. And then you start making your neighborhood safe, and you call law enforcement when you need law enforcement. But we have to start working together as a larger team, a larger community. Economic security promotes job retention. We don't create jobs. It's foolish to think government creates jobs. We create an economic opportunity for businesses to come in here and establish jobs. I'm proposing any new business gets a 24-month personal property tax holiday, and any new business or expansion of a business gets also a personal property tax holiday. It does not cost Josephine County anything, but it gives those employers the opportunity to give their financial feet under them to establish living wage jobs, long-term employment. We need to fund our government without tax increases or levies. We have to live within our means. People in the county are making decisions between pay my mortgage, put food on the table. Government has to make the same hard decisions. They have to constrain and reduce like families and businesses have. Maintain county sovereignty and values by not handing over local decision-making to Salem. That's the reason I got into this race. It's atrocious to be in Josephine County and think Salem can make decisions about taxing and funding, not understanding the value of our people, not understanding the value of the citizens and the way we think in Josephine County. Maintain coordination between federal agencies, Josephine County, and allowing for access and responsible use for all our natural resources. We've talked about land access, timber, and mineral. I would mandate those federal agencies coordinate to consensus for the economic health of our community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan DeYoung, and I'm running for position number 2, Josephine County Commissioner. I want to thank all the people that stepped up. This is a good group of people. Everybody's heart is in the right spot. As you, the citizens, you come out tonight to find out what we all stand for. I was born and raised in Grants Pass, Oregon. I've lived there all my life, other than 4 years that I was in the United States Navy and honorably discharged in 1972. I went to work for a local heating and air conditioning company, Rogue Valley Heating and Air Conditioning. I put air conditioning and heating systems in a lot of homes here in the valley. And then in '81, I started my own business. I started my own business because I wanted to be independent. But I'll tell you what, that was a big learning curve, and every bit of it stuck. I had financial problems along the way, as almost everybody that joins into business has done. But you know what? I do know what it's like to sign the front side of a paycheck, not the back side. And that means an awful lot to me, and it should mean an awful lot to everybody out there, because you need somebody that has business experience, and maybe that's what we've been missing in the county commissioner's system for quite some time. We need somebody that has some business experience. I have a wife of 46 years and 2 children. They're both moved away. I'd love to have them come back here, but there isn't a job opportunity here for them in the fields that they're in. One of them works for the FAA in rotary wing aircraft in Oklahoma City, and the other one was recently the restaurant manager at the Disneyland Hotel. Can't get that around here. But I would like to see the timber industry come back. We don't like to see the timber industry come back. We've talked sustainable yield. We've talked everything from the time the ONC Act was just, the federal government thumbed their nose at us. That contract is there. We've tried for how long to try to bring that back here. I'm willing to keep on trying with that. I think a federal lawsuit needs to be filed. I also would be in favor of the assessor taking all the public land and sending the federal government a tax bill. And if they don't pay it, just like you and I, we lose our land, we lose our foreclose on our homes, send them a tax bill for whatever they want. We talk about public safety versus criminal justice. Public safety is what a policeman does when he arrests someone. Criminal justice is where we're failing here in Josephine County, because we don't have enough beds that we can use in a jail that's way oversized. Recently, in fact, the last 4 years, the city of Grants Pass has purchased 20 or 30 beds from the Josephine County Sheriff to the tune of $1 million. When it gets all done and we're all full to capacity as it is now, there's still 120 beds empty in that jail. That equates to me at $1 million for 30 beds. That's $4 million that the sheriff could basically use if he rented beds out. Jackson County is clear full. Let's call Jackson County and rent 30 beds to them or 60 beds to them. Same thing with the state. How's my time doing? I'm okay? No, I'm done? Oh, that was fast.
Everybody, thank you very much for putting on this forum and for attending. It's great to be here. My name is Sandy Casanelli. I'm running for position 2. The basic reason why I ran is because I wanted to inform people about this governor's takeover of the county. It's very, very important, and the commissioners are plugging along and trying to get this implemented against the will of the people. For 8 times since 2004, we voted the public, the countywide, has voted down taxing districts or levies. Now, what the commissioners want to do is they want to circumvent that vote and just go ahead and implement this Chapter 753 of the Oregon Laws 2013, which was the former HB 3453. Very, very dangerous. It gives up our sovereignty. The commissioners are willing to do this. I'm not. I do not want to see the county go in that direction. And I see with the commissioners presently that they are squirreling away money into different little pots so that they don't fund public safety adequately. Public safety should be funded first, not last. When they had the opportunity at the last budget session, they did not take road reserves and give it to the sheriff for patrols. At the supplemental budget last week, they did not give Title I SRS payments that could have gone to rural patrols to the sheriff. We had a carryover of $5 million in the general fund rather than the 3.6 that has been there for the last 10 years. So this is really, really disconcerting that they would say that there's a public safety emergency when they're squirreling money away so they can make a match for the state rather than give it to the sheriff. When I was in office, I advocated for allowing the smoke jumpers to renovate the county buildings at the Ivy Airport. They have a museum there, beautiful museum. It's the crown jewel of Ivy. I advocated for 50% reductions in planning and building safety permits and fees with economic development money. I wanted a participatory rather than a reactionary relationship with people. I let this is not going to work here. I got too much to talk about. Anyways, I was opposed to things like Paradise Ranch, the canola, the 5-year strategic plan by Store Ready, which was awful. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mark Seligman, resident of Selma, Oregon for 20 years. I'm all about prosperity. Josephine County is not a prosperous county. We're the 9th worst region in the United States economically. We don't win here. We lose. We lose our youth. We lose our jobs. We just lose. I was born in New York City. I went to college. I have a 2-year degree in business administration. I have a 4-year degree in sociology, Bachelor of Arts degree. I studied psychology. It's Sonoma State University in California, where I lived prior to here. My dad taught me growing up, Mark, always tell the truth. The truth will set you free. I will always tell the truth, even if it gets me in trouble. And I will tell you things you may not want to hear, but it will be the truth, and I have the facts to back it up. I have survived 2 personal disasters, one in California, a mudslide, and one in my home in Selma, a fire, where we tried to fight a fire and we were unsuccessful and burned my house down. During that time, I ran my business, tended to my girlfriend, and ran for county commissioner. You want to talk about disaster? That's nothing. All right? I mean, what the county's going through is nothing compared to what I went through personally. I developed a lot of strength. What they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. Well, it made me a lot stronger. Some of my priorities are poverty, crime, and homelessness. A rising tide lifts all boats. We need economic development here. We're not getting it. Seniors, youth, and animals. They are three of the most vulnerable groups. I'm for all of them. You talk about crime for a minute. I'm not into adding more patrol and more DA and more tax money. You need to get at the cause of crime. You can have all the police in the world, you're not going to stop crime. It feels good, that's what you want to hear, that's what a lot of these people are going to say, but I'm not going to say that. We need an economic catalyst. With an economic catalyst, we're going to have less crime, we're going to have less homelessness. We need to raise people's self-esteem. Seniors are gripped with fear and insecurity. Meals on Wheels program. I fought for seniors so that program would be jeopardized by county commissioners that were not very helpful. I am consistent in what I believe in. I'm pro-cannabis as an industry, and I'm against property taxes. There will be no taxes in a Mark Seligman government. Basically, you can learn the job. You cannot teach somebody integrity. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Bill Hunker. I'm an Oregon resident for 34 years, and I'm a Josephine County resident for 8. In fact, I'm a Merlin resident, by the way, one of 2 in here tonight. My background is business. I've taken companies public. I've worked in television for 23 years, and then I moved over and became the COO of a manufacturing company. And that's how I sort of look at the county right now. As a businessman, I view our county's current situation like I would an $80 million company that is failing. I would start by reviewing the budget line by line and look for ways to prioritize all the discretionary expenditures we have. And I would push to reform our budget process so it's based on top-down priorities. Some of you know that as zero-based budgeting. And today our top priority is what? It's public safety. We can use Title I road dollars for sheriff patrols, and others have used economic development funds for public safety in other places, and so can we. We can reevaluate all our county-owned properties and maximize their revenue for sustained yield. We can review our county forest lands and make the most of the sustainable products that are there, and we can revisit contracts and fees to see where we can be more efficient. All of that going to public safety as a first priority, particularly if you want to say that we're in a crisis. But underneath all that, we need economic development. We can encourage that by creating a welcoming and supportive environment for business, and we can grant as Joseph said, we can grant a 24-month personal business property tax holiday. And we can also streamline our permit process and reduce our fees. I think we should be creating a business interest packet for any businesses who want to move to the county, something we currently don't have at all. And underneath that, and part of that is our taxes. And I just want to say very clearly, I will not support any new taxes in the next 4 years. The people have spoken many times in the last 20 years. This is a struggling county, and many people cannot afford to pay more taxes. Our county government needs to learn to live within its means, the same as we all have to do. As you all know, Josephine County has enormous potential, and that's been languishing. The only way I think that we can ever realize that potential is to start running the county like a business. And I ask for your vote to make that happen. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lily Morgan. I was born and raised here in Josephine County. I went off to college in Seattle and studied sociology. Stayed working in the marketing industry for a couple of years, but I realized I wanted to be back home near my family. And I moved back in 2000. I did not grow up with the intention of going into government work. I went to school and I studied sociology, social work, because I believed in helping other people, and I found that that was really where my heart's desire was. And so I found myself in Josephine County needing a job, and I started as a 911 dispatcher. It wasn't enough to just take the phone calls. My desire was to respond, and so I volunteered with the Sheriff's Reserves for almost 4 years. For the last 10 years, I've worked as a parole officer, and really having the opportunity to come alongside people and see what barriers are going on in their lives, and to try to offer some of their alternatives for where they're going. As a community, we have that opportunity as well. We get a chance to see what barriers are going to happen. Public safety is the #1 topic I hear wherever I go. I spoke with some firefighters and paramedics out in Illinois Valley who were dismayed by the fact that they would respond to calls for medical assistance, but because law enforcement wasn't there to secure the scene, they weren't able to go in, and lives have been lost over it. I go somewhere else, and the first thing they ask is, what are you going to do about public safety? Well, the first thing we have to do is build consensus. We need to be talking as a community of what do we want, what do we need, and how do we get there, and how do we find ways to do that? Whether it's looking at new alternatives for those funding sources, or seeing what areas need to be prioritized, public safety has to be first. If we are going to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as the Constitution says, we have to be safe to do that. So I have seen firsthand in dealing with our community, through my time as a parole officer, I've seen the lives affected by both being victims and from the sides of those committing the crimes. And I want to be a part of coming up with creative solutions to get us through this. I also have a proven track record of respectful service to the public. In the city council, we came in at a time that there was some chaos, and what we did is we were able to get some things done. We were able to get businesses here, reduce fees for businesses to come here, give them incentives to come, and you see that coming across town. Winco, the People's Bank, the All Care business coming in, Taco Bell to South and Red Robin's coming. Home Depot was at the end of a 10-year pull, and they were going to leave town, and we were able to get things done to finish that. Today we opened, or had the open house for the Sobering Center. It was a way for our community to come together and say we have a need, and we're going to find that solution within the community. So my goals are to build consensus around public safety, to respect each other in the process, work with you, and to build the jobs that we can and remove the barriers to get that done.
Good evening. My name is Shane Kristen. I was written up in the Courier lately. The first paragraph, actually the first few words were, he's a man of few words. I was asked recently what I thought about that article. And I pondered on it for a second. A man of few words means I'm a good listener. And I believe that any person that's on the commission should be listening to their constituents. I'm not going to slam anybody. I don't think it's proper for me to do that. I'm just trying to introduce myself. I have experience in government. I have experience in the private sector. I used to work for the Department of Conservation Division of Oil and Gas. And I implemented the underground injection control in 3 districts of California. My jurisdiction was from the northern LA County border north to Santa Clara County. It's quite a wide swath, a lot of oil and disposal wells. It was my job to protect fresh water. I actually stopped Halliburton from fracking in an oil field. And after my retirement, they got an exemption to the federal program and started fracking all over the United States. In the private sector, I worked for an engineering firm in Fortuna. It was my job to process permits. I was an environmental planner permit specialist. I permitted gravel operations in California. I had to clear 12 agencies and ensure that the bonding was secured for the remediation. So I'm sort of a political wonk and a paperwork nerd. I know how to get things done. I've been raising sheep in Williams for about 10 years now. I had a production company where I produced produce and sold it in 10 farmers markets when I was in San Luis Obispo County, California. I've just been enjoying the sunshine and watching the deer jump my fence lately. You know, like a lot of people, we've become disheartened with the powers that be. I'm asking for your vote, and it's simply that. People that know me know my word is good, and I don't make promises I can't keep. The only promise that I will make is service with integrity. Thank you.
So, I'm Harriet Harris, and I'm running for position 2. I did 24 years in the Navy. Well, actually, let's back that train up. I went to college. I did not go through college on a scholarship. I worked my way through and had helpful parents. Then I got a job with the city of San Diego as an administrative analyst. And as you know, everybody in San Diego is former military, and so I listened to those guys, and it sounded like a good deal, and I did join. Spent 24 years, retired nearly 20 years ago, and moved here from Washington, D.C. I'm married to a wonderful guy who wants absolutely no part of this, and but loves me enough to let me come out and do it. During the 20 years that I was retired from the military and doing this, I served in a ministry at my church called Lifeline. I'm really kind of in the weeds here. People don't know me because I wasn't a Rotarian or a Kiwanis or a Lion, and I love all those groups and great service organizations. I just personally, if I was going to work, wanted God to get the credit. So I was doing that and dealing with people in crisis. And I finally decided that I wanted to try to bump up to trying to deal with some of the problems in our community, not just the symptoms of the problems. And you guys, all of these people, myself included, whether you agree with us, there are lots of ideas, and Bill didn't say it tonight, but in his previous times has pointed out, he says he's a fact-based decision maker. And so all of these ideas sound good, and who wouldn't be for every one of these? But I think we need to expose them to scrutiny. I would like to give people a tax incentive for the first year, not taxing them, helping them out. But then we also have a lot of businesses that go under. And so I can't tell you. I don't know. I can tell you. I don't know all the answers. I will put every idea forward, throw it against the wall, have people work it. What I would like to see happen more is not just office hours, but ad hoc committees out in each community. What's happening in Merlin is going to be different than what's happening in Cave Junction. And I mean, just being here tonight, hearing about the idea of getting a justice of the peace in Merlin. Sounds like a great idea, has lots of potential. Let's get more community involvement in the respective communities, work these things out, and then bring it to the commissioners' meetings. And the commissioners come and meet with you to see what you need, what kind of help. Harriet Harris, position 2.
I'm Dale Matthews. I would imagine that most of you thought you were going to hear things tonight that might be a little different than what's already in the voters' paper, or maybe in what's happened in some of the other candidate forums. If you want to see any of those things, you go to votefordale.com. They're already posted. Everybody's arguments are posted on my website. All the competition. You can find it in one place. I'm not reading from a piece of paper because I don't need to read from a piece of paper to tell you what's in my heart.
It's already there. I'm glad to hear that there are other people who are saying no new taxes for 4 years. It's on our signs. Ray and I were the ones that came up with that idea to begin with. It's not a brand new idea, but nobody else was saying that except for us. No new taxes for 4 years. What needs to happen at the very first meeting of the county commissioners under new control? First thing that needs to happen is a invocation, because we need all the help we can get. The very next thing that happens is activity to start sending letters to the federal government saying, either give us our land back or give us the money you have with us in the contract. Now, I've been working on this project for a while. I've sent over 300 letters to the federal government, to the right people. Ray's been working on it too. We know that if you start sending out letters from the county and keep sending out letters, that these people eventually will pay some kind of attention because a squeaky wheel gets the grease. 10 letters signed by 5 people at each of the county commissioners' meetings would equal 50 letters a week. 50 letters a week times 4 years is 10,000 letters. This is my second sign. 10,000 letters to DC. Now, you think that would get some kind of attention, any attention at all from the federal government? Now, we've got people that are already in government, have been in government. They're paid. Some of them are. They have positions of responsibility. Why are they not sending any letters? You could. I'm a private citizen. I am. Over 300 letters already. So, I'm not going to blame everybody for not doing something they could start doing today. But if you're going to copy an idea, copy that then. Join with us and start doing that as well. You can do that. You can do that. If we can do it, are you waiting to get paid? Do it anyway. Thank you.
Raymond Smith. I'm running for position 3. And yes, as Dale just mentioned about the letters, I've started sending letters as well. Not near as many as Dale, but I've got 75 that I've sent out. I would like to see everyone doing just that as well. And I think with the commissioners, the right commissioners in there, they could encourage that and help it along with public input. The reason I'm running, I'm a horseshoer in this county, so I'm just another regular guy, and I have not seen the kind of representation that I would like to see from our government. People have consistently turned down levies. They consistently get new levies to vote no on. And it's just time to stop the same thing over and over again. When they say no, not this time, no, not this time, no, not this time either, we need to do something different. And these letters are a good start. Try to get the government to pay attention to what the people are saying, live up to their contract. That's a good start. And try to get the commissioners to listen to the public as well. We're constantly told no one brings any fresh ideas in, nobody offers any solutions. I hear solutions all the time, but I also hear that's no solution. The only solution is more taxes. And obviously the people don't believe that, or the majority of the people, and that's what we have to really tell us what to do as a majority of the people under those circumstances when you're allowed to vote with a democratic process. So I would encourage everyone to get involved, start writing some letters, push your commissioners to go along with that and write more letters. And 27. And in the future, I'd encourage people, more regular people, to run for commissioner, run for public office, and bring your ideas forward. Thank you.
I'm going to start with you. This question is for all of the candidates. I'm going to hold it down to 1 minute. And the question is, to all the candidates, what does it mean to you to take an oath? Yes, sir.
What's it mean to take an oath? Well, an oath is your word, and your word should mean something. And I was always taught that when you gave your word, you told someone something, you made it good, no matter how much it hurt you. You honored that. And so an oath isn't just something that you say, it's something that you live by. And that's what I live by, and that's what I would do. So that's an oath of office is an oath, and that's what you're taking is an oath where you're giving your word, and that should mean something. So, and it does to me.
I intend to take an oath to the county charter. It's our local constitution. And the county charter says you shall take no more than $30,000 a year. Oh, that's impossible. No, that's not impossible. If you're enforced to take the entire amount of money, you keep 30 and you give all the rest of it back to the federal government, to the IRS, for one, and the other one is you give it to charity. The public has said what they want. $30,000, not 0, and not 31, 30. So I intend to take an oath to and if the judge says you can't take an oath to that, then throw me out of office. On the first day, I'm taking that oath.
So I too agree that an oath is your word. I told you I was in the military and I took the oath. The Bible says that you shouldn't be taking oaths, that your yes should be yes and your no should be no. People who don't believe that aren't going to stand by an oath, whether they take it on the Bible. Always seem crazy to me that you have somebody swear on a Bible. Either you believe that God's watching and your yes is yes and your no is no, or you disregard the law and you wouldn't care what you're taking an oath about anyway. Also, it was pointed out, some others did that too. My bio and some of my issues are here, so that's available afterwards as well.
To take an oath. To promise this county to deliver service from an unbiased position without any self-interest involved. That would be my oath to this county. I believe that. I believe in that kind of public service. I believe that's all the time I need.
The first time I raised my hand and took an oath was as a reserve deputy, where I swore that I would uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws of Oregon. And I take that very seriously. I've studied the Constitution, I've studied our charter, I've studied Oregon law extensively over my career, and I believe that justice is an important thing. I believe speaking truth and offering grace is also important, and as a community we need to come together in that way. I also took an oath of office when I was sworn in as a city councilor, and so I've spent a long time volunteering under that oath, but for the last 10 years I've been paid to take that oath and to uphold that as a parole officer. And to me, it's something that you do whether you're on duty or off duty. You live your life in a way that is with integrity, and you live your life as a way that you set the standard and the example for those around you by loving those around you and walking alongside where they are coming from. So that is what an oath means to me.
An oath is a contract. When you take an oath, you make a contract with those people or those subjects that you're dealing with. And a contract is only as good as the people who take it. And as far as I'm concerned, the two things that guide me, both in my personal life and political life, are truth-telling and promise-keeping. If you have those two things, you can build a society. If you don't have those two things, society starts to crumble.
What is an oath? An oath is a promise, it's a trust, it's to tell the truth. Like I said before, my dad told me I always tell the truth. I may have omitted a few things, but I always told the truth. I take an oath, no new taxes. Not for 4 years. As a libertarian, no new taxes. Nobody else has doing that. I take an oath to do whatever I can to see that Josephine County can be more prosperous. I feel the cannabis industry is that catalyst to bring in lots of money to this county and make everybody more prosperous. I take an oath to be consistent and never to be politically correct. Many candidates want to be politically correct. I'm not politically correct. And lastly, the oath is the truth. I take an oath to serve you, not the other way around.
Well, let's talk about oaths. You know, when I was sworn in, I promised that I would uphold the Constitution, the state Constitution, and the laws thereof. And I took that oath seriously, so seriously that when the sheriff, at a weekly business session, presented to the Board of County Commissioners an emergency operation plan that took resources without compensation, my signature was not on the bottom of that plan. You know, it took a lot of heat for that, but you know something? I am not going to betray the rights of the citizens according to the federal Constitution and the state Constitution and the laws thereof. And it's just that simple. You do what you were sworn to do and take whatever consequences you have to bear.
Thank you.
When I was sworn into the city council a number of years ago, it was to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the state of Oregon and the United States of America. We had a contentious issue before the council here not too long ago, and when it came to me, I abstained. And the reason I abstained is because it was in the two laws, the laws for the federal government and the laws for the state of Oregon did not agree. So if I voted one way, I was following state law, the other way I was following federal law, so I abstained. And when the two laws decide to get back together and they're both on the same page, I can do that. The words that really hit home with me before I made the abstention, because I had a lot of constituents said this is the way we want you to vote, and I got a lot of flack for it because why did you abstain? That isn't what you sent there to do. But the word "so help me God" hit me right here, hard. I'm not going to do it. That oath to me meant a whole bunch, and I put my hand on the Bible, and Harry, you're well more read than I am, but this when I said "so help me God," that meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Oath, duty, honor, country. I took my first oath the 10th of October, 1981. I took my second oath on the 20th of August, 1985 when I was sworn in as a military officer. I live that oath today. It is a moral contract that never expires. It is a bound of your personal honor and your integrity, and it takes moral courage to execute and hold true to that oath. And as many have said here, when those difficult decisions come up that may not be constitutional in nature, may not be representative of the people, your oath means you must stand up and you must say, no, we cannot do that. It's a moral contract before God that must always be honored.
One thing
take of oaths, I've seen lots of people take oaths, many different situations, times, and states. One of the things I always think about when I watch someone else take an oath, do they know what they're taking an oath to? Because you actually have to be smart enough to know what the oath means when you take it. I, like many others, have taken an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. And I think not only have I been able to talk the talk, but I've been able to walk the walk. And let me share with you, when you appreciate the Constitution of the United States, I mentioned earlier I was a reserve military officer for 20-some years. I stood at 7:30 in the morning, lots of different places, hoisting the great American flag, and I know what that oath means.
I think you've got a pretty good definition of what oath. I mean, I took my first oath when I was 17 in 1959 and joined the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. I took my second oath in 1963 when I married my wife, and she's been stuck with me ever since. And I took the oath as far as the commissioner goes in 2013, and that was on January of 2013. Yeah, how quickly time goes by. But oaths are, as somebody's mentioned, are only as good as the person who makes them, and because we all expect certain things, but there are standards. And the United States Constitution, the State of Oregon, and the Charter of Oregon, Josephine County, are objective standards that measure the oath and the keeping of them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Some excellent definitions here have already been said. An oath is a solemn promise, and some of you may not be aware that all three of our current commissioners have been found in violation of the Oregon ethics for the Oregon regulatory statutes. All three of them have been found in violation of open meeting law. 2 of them have been found in violation of conflict of interest, and 2 of them use of office for financial gain. So when I take the oath for county commissioner, I will be upholding the laws with transparency. Thank you.
I'll tell you what that means to me. 4 years ago, I was in the courthouse, and the 2 commissioners were sworn in. And they took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Then a few months later, they want to create a code enforcement police state to come on your property without your permission. That's breaking their oath, because that's against the Constitution to violate your private property rights. I would never do that. Keeping an oath is very important, because that means you care more about the people, because the Constitution was put in place for a reason, to keep government in check, to make sure that you're free, so they don't violate your rights. I would never do that as a county commissioner, and I will always tell you the truth. I've told you the truth 8 years ago that there's something wrong with Obama. Don't vote for that sucker, because he's going to destroy this country. And you know what? I was called, I'll tell you what I was called. A mudslinger and a negative, and you know what? I was right.
An oath is a solemn promise. It depends on where you're taking an oath to. If we're talking about to the Constitution, yeah, that's a solemn promise to uphold the Constitution. Unfortunately, in America today, a lot of times our Constitution is violated by our own state laws and our own codes. So it's really tough. You got to decide what you're taking an oath to. It's a solemn promise to do exactly what you said, regardless if you feel like it, regardless if it's popular, regardless if it may harm people at times. But it's an oath. It's a solemn promise. But you got to know what you're making an oath to, first of all. That's the main thing.
I'm going to actually bring this courthouse light down. Because the next question is for Joseph Rice and then Bill Hunker. How would you make the planning office better?
Eliminated. I found, I could probably go 10 minutes here, but the planning office I don't hear much about when I go to the meetings. We hear a little bit about people are on and taking off and so forth, but I think the planning office needs to be far more transparent to the public so that the public understands what they're in for when they start the process. And it seems to be this labyrinth that you go into and hope to get out of, you know, with your skin. Very seldom in government is there an office that can't do with a little less. And I'd certainly like to look it over and see if we possibly could do with less and streamline it in any way we can for the public. This is supposed to be serving and enhancing our county through helping the public. And it seems to be mired in its own laws and regulations and endless meetings.
Oh, I think they can hear me. Lily, as a longtime county employee, name 3 programs, areas you would streamline or cut to save money. In 1 minute.
First off, I am a county employee. My position is entirely funded by the state. Parole and probation is funded without any general dollars from the county. First off, I believe that public works is an area that needs to be looked at. There is 60% of the folks are road workers, the other portion are office workers. I think money in that area. So even though the outcome of the goals are working with different bodies as far as age groups, the overall is the same goal.
This is for Dan DeYoung. What is your plan for merchant taxation or sales tax to create revenue?
I knew the sales tax thing was going to come up because I live in the city and that was on the ballot. One of the things that we looked at, we were looking at criminal justice and some of the things that were failing in the county, providing that the city uses. And we all pay taxes. Every one of us pays 58 cents a thousand whether you live in Grants Pass or you live in Josephine County. Doesn't matter. We're all citizens of Josephine County. As far as taxation goes, I think we've got it. And sales tax and things of that, it was overwhelmingly shot down. But one of the things I will never do, and I don't know exactly what the answer is because it's going to take more than one answer to fix this problem, but I am never going to apologize to anybody for putting something before the ballot, on the ballot in front of the voter. It's your decision. All that the government can do and any of these groups can do is bring ideas before you, and then it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. So taxation is tough, but you know, sometimes government costs money and it depends on the level of service that you want. Whatever you want, then you should pay for it.
Time. Oh, that was perfect. This is going to be a question for all of the candidates. Would you implement budgeting for outcomes and how would you use it? Okay, would you implement budgeting for outcomes and how would you use it? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't vote for you if you could figure that one out.
I'm trying to, hey, Paul, you gotta listen to everyone, buddy, I'll tell you that. Voting for outcome, budgeting for outcome, I think first off, you have to have a good vision as to what the people want. You know, there's a lot of times the government oversteps its bound by saying to the people, we're going to provide this for you, when actually you don't want this. We've talked about the various burgs and areas of Josephine County. This is a very diverse county. The people in Sunny Valley have a whole different idea of what's wrong or what's right versus Williams. I think if we get everybody into the room on a monthly basis, we'll find that there's 40% of everybody's different idea of the perfect utopia, and maybe that 40% is what we need to concentrate on. I think government should be there to aid in getting your wishes, not tell you what your wishes are. We have to listen to the people and then we'll take it from there. But I don't have a crystal ball. I don't think anybody can.
Hi, thank you. Budgeting for outcomes. Well, we sort of do that. I have objections the way the budget session goes now. Basically, we do baseline budgeting. What that means, it's the same budget as last year, only like we'll add like 1 or 2%. That's baseline budgeting versus zero-based budgeting, which is what Bill was talking about, where you say, okay, we're going from 0 cents to how much we need in order to do a specific activity. The problem with the county is they do a bastardization of both. They give the departments baseline budgeting, but then if the employees have to do any kind of work, they say, we're going to do zero-based budgeting because you request what we want, we're going to charge you. Wrong.
I'm going to talk about budgeting a little differently. The county government would like to have a state of emergency declared so they could increase their budget. Okay, that would give up local control. I'm not for that kind of budgeting. The city of Grants Pass, $972,000 water utility rates. If the $1 million was accepted by the county commissioners, chances are that would be reduced. So the city is budgeting to tax a water utility rate. Not one member of the city council opposed the state of emergency. So you can see where their priorities are. Budget so that people pay more. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, zero-based budgeting is that you start over fresh every year, is the theory. And you end up saying, how did we move this last year in our priorities, and do they need to be adjusted again? In traditional budgeting, as Sandy has said, they have just moved from one year to the next, generally adding every year to the budget of a small percentage. And when you do that, you are assuming that last year was good, and you're assuming you can also do it again this year. We're beyond that point in this county. We're going to have to re-look at our budgeting and not just keep rolling it over as though we're living in the past. So zero-based or outcome-based budgeting is our future.
I'd just like to ask, are we answering the question that the questioner was posing? At first we all said we're not sure what they're asking, and so would the person who posed the question be willing to raise their hand and elaborate? Are we getting close to answering the question that you posed?
No.
Okay. Can we ask you to re-articulate what it is you'd like to hear from us?
No. We already captured that.
Ask the moderator.
Okay. How about we move on to another question?
May I answer? I would like to answer. We got.
Okay.
Yeah, we
You
might
got
have to
hands up?
yes.
Let's go for it. Let's answer it.
Here's what it really means. It means that when the county commissioners want the outcome to be a levy, they budget public safety in a way that's unsustainable. That way they get their levy or nothing. We saw that happen on Wednesday. There was $1 million that could have been made available to public safety. They decided not to. That's the change to budgeting for outcome that we don't want anymore.
I've never been known to have trouble being heard, so I'll just speak up a little bit. A couple of things, important things. One is we have a discretionary amount of our budget that amounts to about $8 to $10 million. That's all we have to say so over of where this money goes. 80% of that discretionary budget goes to the Sheriff's Department in Josephine County. Right now, 80% of it goes to the Sheriff's Department. The hue and cry and all this other kind of brouhaha going on has no basis in reality, but it makes good charges that they want to throw out. The tax increases, you have to vote for any tax increase. I mean, it's that commissioners don't make some tax and force it on everybody. You have to vote for that. I personally have not been involved in the last 3 levies. I was involved in the very first one when I became commissioner, and I said at that time, never again, I'm not going to do that. But the whole idea, that some of these things make very great bombastic stories, but they are not based in any fact.
So, one of my principles in life is don't be chasing rainbows and unicorns. And too often what I see in the budget process is that it's a process where everybody gets real excited about, oh my gosh, we found these dollars, we're going to put these in here, we create this wonderful rainbow, and we sign off on it, and then two months later, you have a snowstorm or a disaster, and the budget gets tossed out the window. So I'm not really against budgeting, but I think giving it a particular name is misleading the public, that you're going to do something that's really not going to happen. So, and to Keith's point, I've sat through 3 budget cycles, so I've looked at the budget. I actually think the budget, when they look at line items, should have a green dot if it's passed through. That's exactly right.
Time.
Most of our money is passed through. We have no thing to say about it. And I'm using Tony's card
Repeat the question. It was budget. What was the exact question?
Budget.
Budgeting for outcome. Budgeting for outcome. So as I understand it, that's a business model. And if you look at small business, large business, when you budget for outcome, what you're looking at is an end result of what you're trying to produce as a product. You have to put a financial model to that as what you're expecting your outcome to be. We have government, we have private business. We have to look at Josephine County and in budgeting for outcome, what are our priorities, and with the budget we have, can we obtain that outcome? If we cannot obtain that outcome, what do we have to do differently, or what are the funding sources do we have to go after? I think it's something to look at as a model, but that's what we're doing. If we're talking about turning the county around, we're looking for a specific outcome to change the direction of the ship, move it away from the rocks. We have to go down the path.
Anybody else want to?
No.
I have a question for Commissioner Heck. How will you improve the county business meetings and respect citizen input?
I don't need the microphone, I can holler. Speak louder, never holler. Improve the business meetings, well, open them, I guess. The citizens right now have the opportunity to comment, well, 24/7 if you wanted to on the telephone or email or whatever. Some people think that the only time that you can ever talk are at the business meetings. Well, if you want to make a political statement, that's a good format to do it. If you really want to talk and ask questions or raise points, that's something else again. But I don't have any magic formula. I think the way the business meetings, as they are set up right now, function fairly well.
Okay, I want to tell you, I got several, well, not several, 3, 4 questions, which is going to be for certain people. But I'm looking at the time, and it's 8:21. So if I give you your closing statements, that's going to take us right up to the end. Basically, it's up to you candidates.
We can stay late.
You can stay late?
I got permission.
You got permission? All righty. Okay. Well, I actually have one here for D.
You should be watching our show because we offer solutions on every single show. And the only people that say that we don't are those who say, well, I don't like your show and I never watch it. We're constantly offering solutions to things. Look, we're more likely to be able to offer solutions to things as a watchdog. I'm more likely to do it if I'm actually inside and can get access to that financial information, which we're now asking for and we're not getting. I recently put in a request for information to the legal counsel, because now we all have to go through legal counsel. He said, you don't need that. That's illegal. So, how do you go from watchdog? Watchdog on the inside. And that'll be your access to everything. Thank you.
This question is for Joseph Rice. What would your priorities be when you get elected to county commissioner?
Priority government is protect the people, period. Community safety is it. I think we have to travel a different path on how we do that. We keep trying the same thing over and over, and we have to develop, we got to develop a sense of community. You can't sit out there and think we're going to come up here and fix it. We have to start working together. We have to draw a community. We have already launched a community watch program in Cave Junction. We put in a coordinator, communications, logistics, medical, and an engineer for that community to be prepared in the event of Cascadia. That develops all the ways down to the individual family. You build upon that. We have to build a foundation. Job retention. We talked about economic development. We're to the point of retaining jobs. And we have to start marketing Josephine County as a beautiful place. We have the lowest tax rate in the state. Move your business here. We've got wonderful recreational opportunities. We have a good, solid workforce. They're educated. They want to get back to work. They can work and do it. We have to stop the negativity. We have to turn around. This is a good place. I am tired of being told it's not.
Okay. Josephine County is one of the few Oregon counties with extremely low property taxes and private fire companies, which causes substandard county services and substandard fire services. Do you believe in Josephine County should continue as is, or should we follow the other counties? And what's your example?
I mean, creating a fire district, is that what you're saying?
I have no idea.
I think that's what that question is directed at, is creating a fire district. I'm not for that. Huh? Oh. I guess that question is directed at creating a fire district, which is a permanent taxing district. I don't think I'm in favor of that. I think we can do this through free enterprise. I think competition is good. It lowers the service, lowers the cost of service, and usually creates a better service. I don't see why we need to create a taxing a district. I think that's what most people's models have. That's what the Illinois Valley has, and it's. I don't want to say anymore.
Well, they've been trying to pull a fire district here for past 15 years, I think, since the early 90s. You don't want that. What this is really designed to do is to put county fire out of business and give it a rural metro. You don't want to do that. You want to have as much competition as possible, and I tell you the truth, my wife switched from rural metro to county fire, so I asked her why. He says, because you charge too much. So we went here, and we brought a whole bunch of other customers with us too. So.
Yeah, well, I came in a little late, but I think I know what the question was. I'm not in favor of a taxing district because they're permanent, and I think competition is the American way.
Commissioners don't create fire districts. Voters create fire districts.
But you put it on the ballot.
Oh, pardon me, I thought it was my turn to speak. If the voters want the fire district, and you want to support it and pay for it, that's your free choice to make.
No.
Bill took my line.
Well, I live in Grants Pass, and let me tell you, the most expensive part of public safety is the fire department. It really gets expensive, and you know, I think that you have a level of service out here that you're happy with, leave it that way.
Yeah, I ditto not having a fire district. I resent the fact that people say that it's substandard fire service if we don't have a district. You know what, free enterprise, if the people don't want to have the private fire companies, they can go elsewhere. This is what America's all about.
I live in the Illinois Valley. I'm satisfied with what we have there. Commissioner Heck puts things on the ballot. Maybe he doesn't, but he supports things. So, you know, you have to look at that.
Free enterprise system, best there is.
As far as fire service goes, nationwide, more departments are volunteer-based than what we have going on here. And I think that one of the finest examples of that is the Illinois Valley Fire Department. And their stations are staffed with volunteers, and they have exceptional. What I think the key is not a fire district. The key is having standards that people need. And County Fire has DPSSD certification, Wade told me earlier. And if the state sets the standards, that respond. But then on the top of that, you as customers get to decide which agency you choose to work for or choose to have respond. So I like the model that we have now. I think that the competition is good, and I think that we have good people, and because of it, we have an excellent fire service program at RCC that produces students that have a future and have a career. So the current program is working well with multiple competition for agencies that we work with right now.
I looked at my tax bill this year, and I don't really think there was room for another taxing body. I've received service from our volunteer fire department in Williams and in Applegate, and I'm really happy with those folks showing up in an emergency. What we really need is more volunteers, people willing to serve the public.
Nothing new, it's all been said. I agree with everybody else.
When county fire was being frozen out of the system and denied the possibility of even getting a chance to be at the table, there were some citizens who stepped forward and said, this is not right. Of course, the commissioner said, none of that's happening. But the day after we did a show about it, boom, they were suddenly called early the next morning and said, oh, we're not freezing you out of the system. You're all part of everything. That's where the power is. It's with the people. And if I'm wrong, don't applaud. And if I am right, please do. They're not a part.
I believe that decision rests with the people. They're comfortable with their department that they have. Why would you force a tax and something on them that they don't want? So that wouldn't come from me. That would have to come from the people. And I think the competition is healthy, and if there was a lot more of that in other areas, we'd be better off. So that's all I have to say.
I just have one more question in here, and it's for Sandy. Why, if you are so concerned about economic situation in Josephine County, are you running again? It costs $30,000 taxpayer money to recall you.
Oh, that's a great question. It's not my fault that it cost $30,000 to recall me. How about Mr. Bowers and other people behind the scenes who filed illegal petition sheets, and we had a clerk who certified them unlawfully? Those are the people that you should be asking why $30,000 went down the drain.
give you guys 3-minute closing?
Start on that end?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, you guys already have them, yeah, we didn't use that.
Okay. I would like to say that we do need more representation in our government. Okay. I'd like to see more people involvement, community involvement. I think commissioners should reach out farther across the county to do that, and I think there should be a lot more done for recouping money from the federal government that is owed to us. I think there should be a bill sent to them each month with interest tacked on, and thank them for the payment, partial payments that they make, and ask them to please remit the rest as soon as possible. So I would, I'd like to ask for your vote. I'm running for position 3, and I'd like to serve the county in that fashion, as to represent your voice and try to get some of the things done that people want to have done, and that's kind of like that. So.
I go to more of the county commissioners' meetings than they go to, of their own meetings. In fact, over the last 12 years I've been following this, I go to more county commissioners' meetings than all the other candidates in here combined. I know a little bit about what's going on. If you want Simon Hare as the chairman of the board for a whole year, then don't vote for me. Because there's only one other person in the room who knows how to run a county commissioners meeting at this exact moment. That's me. And so, if you get 2 fiscal conservatives in there, what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, Simon, you're no longer going to be the chair for the next 2 years until you're gone. And Dale, why don't you go ahead and run the meetings? I don't know how to do that after 12 years. What I want to do is I want to be sure that the citizens come first. This thing about looking up to the county commissioners who are lofty above us, that's got to stop. We can bring those people down to a human level. We can see people at a podium. The podiums ought to be turned around to face you. You're the boss. When the department heads come and make a report, they should be facing you and answering your questions, not the other way around. What I intend to do, what would you do if you had the power, Dale? I'd give it to you. What? What, are you crazy? No. I'd give it back to the people. We would follow the charter. We would follow what the people's votes are. And those folks who say, well, I don't like those votes. You don't have to live in America, but we're going to. You give me a chance to try to look into this, the first place I'm going to go is into the finance department to follow the money. Find out what the heck has been going on with millions of dollars. They somehow disappeared. I want to find out what that is and turn it all around and give to you so that you know what's happening if you want to know. So, my general attitude is that the people ought to be in charge, they ought to be the #1, and that this thing about an imperial rule over us has got to stop. That's the first thing I'll do.
What position are you running for?
I'm running, pardon me.
No.
I'm running for position 2, which is to replace Keith Heck.
So I'm another position 2 person. But the one part that hasn't been beaten up tonight is housing. Prosperity is not the only issue. We have a real shortage of housing. And the Wall Street Journal brought out a comparison, Medford and Eugene were in the top 10 worst places in the whole country for cost of living. That was based on salaries to the cost of housing. Now, Grants Pass was too small to make it in there, but I think you can infer that we probably would have if we had been looked at. So it's not just having jobs, but being able to house people when they do have jobs. We've got a lot of underemployed people. We've got a lot of people that are on subsistence, whether it's retirement or Social Security, that just can't find housing. And so that was what got me into this in the first place, was to try to help address that issue. In addressing that issue, all these issues have overlapping, interrelated aspects. So prosperity is an element, housing is an element, public safety is an element. You get people off the streets and into homes. They can stay on their meds. They can reduce crime, make the place look better for people that are considering moving here. This stuff, it's not a one-trick pony. All this stuff is interrelated, and everybody is attacking the elephant from a different point of emphasis, but we've got to eat the whole elephant eventually.
Who wants to make barbecue sauce for that elephant?
All right.
Recently, I was asked, what have you learned in this campaign? You know, it kind of made me laugh. I've learned that some folks are considered controversial. I may even be viewed as controversial. I've heard some level-headed people speak. There's been some great ideas here this morning. People wanting to serve you as their constituents for this county. It's going to be up to you to choose two of us to serve your needs. It's your choice. Me, I'm kind of leaning toward the level-headedness. You know? Sometimes in the county meetings, there's problems with decorum. You know, there's some passionate people in this county, and some disappointed ones, and they make themselves heard. One of the contenders told me, take advantage of these friendly people now, they're going to hate you later. You know? So, take advantage, you know, let's be friendly, you know. I hope I never give you any inkling to hate me for decisions that I make in your favor, in trying to do my best to serve this county. I believe honesty is a very important thing. And again, it's going to be up to you to make a choice. And I hope you make some good ones, because we need this county to survive and to excel. Thank you for this time. My name is Shane Chris, and I'm running for position 3.
You can listen to Shane talk for a while. He's got a calming sense about it. I appreciate that. What is amazing about this is seeing how many people do care about our community and want to find a way to help. Even if we're coming from different positions, it's incredible that we've had 17 people step up to say, we want to serve and help and be a part of the community coming up with a solution. Through this process, I have been amazed at the bright spots in Josephine County. This last year, I was able to take part in a volunteer organization that was the Ford Family Foundation Rural Development Initiative. And you'll see the outcome of our cohort, which was the welcome sign by the caveman and the welcome sign by the human being. And that was done by volunteers. But the whole point of the program was to show small communities that when a problem comes up, you need to find the resources in your own community and you can together come up with a solution. And Interestingly, those signs were something the city was trying to do for several years, and here a group of 40 volunteers got it done in a year. So the Hearts with a Mission is an example of that. Here we have a community organization coming in to help provide shelter for our youth and work with other troubled families in our community to try to get them the support that they need. In Wolf Creek, we have a charter school that is setting a standard for the state, and because their school was pulled out from underneath them, they needed to come up with a solution. And in Kirby, Illinois Valley, we have the Illinois Valley Community Development Organization, and working with a small development center at the RCC, and they have one of the best revolving loan programs, and they have set a standard in the nation with their program. They have businesses that are being created and sustaining through that program. We have the opportunity to continue to seek solutions in our community and work together to find a way that we can sustain and we can be prosperous here. We have to invest in our infrastructure. We have to be able to sustain businesses and business growth. And we have to be able to say that every person's opinion counts. Whether I agree with you or not, I will listen and I will give you the respect that you are due. And you will have an opportunity to be at the table to come up with a solution. My goal is public safety, is to show respect for others and to build jobs in our community. And I hope to have that opportunity with you. My name is Lily Morgan and I'm running for position 3.
The county can't keep going the way it used to. The county has had halcyon days in the past. They've received a lot of money. They got in a lot of habits. And if it's true in your life in 2008 that you took a hit in your family and your job and in your lifestyle, that didn't happen for the county government until 2012. And we have to adjust now to what the reality is. I often hear we need to get back to where we were in X year. We're not going back to where we were in X year. You're not able to do it, I'm not able to do it. We have to make a change. And that change is to embrace where we are and who we are. I don't enjoy when I hear people apologize for our low taxes. I don't understand that. We have quite a few retired people in this county, and none of them that I know of went looking for high taxes when they were looking for a place to live. And to apologize for that and to say, oh, I kind of have my head down, I think it's a selling point. I think it's a point to bring people here, to bring jobs here, to bring economy here. But we have to look at a new business-like basis. We can't have everything we used to have. If we're able to build the economy back, maybe we can go back to some of that. But in your own life, you've had to make adjustments. And the county has had enough money up until 12 that they did not have to make those adjustments. And now they're going through a very difficult time to have to do that. But that's got to be pared down, and the people who make that decision to pare down are you folks, all the citizens, all the people in the county, who say, I want this, but I'm willing to give this up to get that. And that's where we are right now, and that's going to be the job of the next commissioners here, is to prioritize and do what they need and what they want done in the county. And we're going to have to maybe let some things go and readjust to the new reality of both our economy and what's going on in the state and the nation. So I'm feeling like business is a way to look at this, and I think that when we get that solid and we clearly understand as a community, we can pitch back in and begin to work together to fill some of the gaps that we'd like to have, that we can't afford anymore that we used to be able to afford. So my name's Bill Hunker, and I'm running for position number 3. Thank you.
Mark Seligman, position 3. This is what it's all about. We live in a beautiful county. It's real green right now. Prosperity is green. The dollar sign is green. And cannabis is green. You've heard a lot of people talk about economic development. There is nothing new going on in this county but this. 20 million, this is a legal industry. $20 million, 2,000 grow sites goes, that's what it costs before your crop is even developed. Before it's sold. It goes to local businesses, the multiplier effect. Home Depot, greenhouses, security, fencing, soil, they're employing people. Logging, I'm for that. But logging has too many hurdles. This doesn't have hurdles. Only government will create hurdles. In Josephine County, it's a lot better than Jackson County. Now, you hear the term public safety. I wonder if you have candidates talking about solutions for public safety. 2000, Oregon Observer. It says, the chosen buzzwords, public safety, were carefully crafted to alarm the public amidst threats that our schools are unsafe, sheriff patrols would be discontinued, the sheriff would eliminate his detective division, the district attorney wouldn't be able to do his job. Well, these are all scare tactics. Anybody that says public safety, remember how it started. You know what? These are scare tactics. What's really going on is there are real scares. Failure due to foreclosure, failure because you don't have enough money to pay your bills. That's what's going on. There's some real differences between me and some candidates. I'm running against Lily Morgan. She's a public servant, city council. What Paul said is correct. This is an attempt by the city to put their values on county residents. We don't want that. I'm pro-cannabis. I'm against taxes. Lily Morgan switches her opinion based upon her constituency. You need consistency. You don't want somebody to fence it. I will never fence it. I will tell you the truth, and I will do it with a smile. And I will have my table outside the county courthouse once a week, so I'm open to everybody's view, no matter what it might be. We need trust, we need integrity, and for heaven's sakes, we need a little prosperity here. We need our kids to stay here rather than leave. You know, we're more than a retirement community. I support seniors, but the youth have to be served. If they don't have jobs there, they're going to turn to crime. They're going to leave. You leave college, $30,000 in debt, are you going to live in Josephine County? Hell no, unless there's a job. A rising tide lifts all boats. We can be a better county, we're a beautiful county, but we must realize there's something new going on. It's exciting. It's the cannabis industry. It's legal. It beats logging. When you vote, this time it's really important that you vote. We can't have the people who are in there. Thank you.
My name's Sandy, and I went to a local public safety coordinating council meeting, and in that, where the commissioners wanted the governor to take over, Lipstick invited our county, our state representatives and Senator Barchicker. And something, they said, this bill is very bad, you don't really want to do this. And what they said was, you have to listen to your community. The solutions to Josephine County are with your citizenry. And the ironic thing is they would not allow the public to speak at the end of that meeting. This is what's wrong with Josephine County. We have a board that does not want to listen to its citizenry. When I was a commissioner, I physically broke up 2 fights. And it was not while I was chair. It was when we had chairs that were dictatorial and authoritative, where they wouldn't let the people speak. When I was chair, they had the opportunity to speak on agenda items. We no longer have that ability to speak on agenda items. We also had 3 minutes to speak, requests or comments for our commissioners. And we also had, at the end of every meeting, 30-second rebuttals. If anybody said anything derogatory about you, you could get up there and say, hey, wait a second, this is, a rebuttal to that. We have a local government now that is so stingy in its relationship with the public. You don't get documents about agenda items that are being discussed at a lot of the meetings. You go to the little back room and you can barely hear what's going on, let alone read the documents. You know something, these auto county junkets that the commissioners are doing behind our backs, they're making decisions without the public even knowing what's going on. I suggested at a weekly business session that we change the administrative policies so that if anybody wants reimbursement for travels, meals, or travel or meals and whatever else goes, motels, that they have to bring a recording of the meeting that they attended and post it on the county website. That way, not only does that commissioner report to other commissioners, but to the public as well.
We've heard a lot of talk tonight about the city. We've got some candidates that said that the city wants to move out to the county and impose all the taxes on you that they have in the city. Absolutely not true. One of the things that the city does do, and you're talking economic development. Economic development is alive and well in the city, not maybe to the level that some people like it. But every time the Winco moves in there, there's an attached value to that, assessed value of $12.5 million. 58 cents a thousand goes direct to the county coffers. Same thing with $6.5 million for the credit union remodel. People's Bank, the DHS building that's built up on the north end of town. Home Depot, that's another one. You add all those together in the last 6 years, where as part of a team, the city council lowered system development charges and the very fees and things that were keeping people out of here. When we did that, that started to move in, and we got a little bit of growth in Grants Pass. 58 cents a thousand assessed value goes directly to the county, and you didn't have to do one thing for it. You didn't have to get out of your chair or anything. It was already done. You know why? Because we're all part of Josephine County. I'm getting so tired of people saying, you live in the city, like I can't, like I'm not allowed, that I can't survive on my own. And that's wrong. I think we're all in this thing together, and I agree with, we keep looking to the past, but I want to look forward. I think we've got a fantastic community here, and I would have moved out a long time ago if I didn't think so. So I want us all to move forward. I want ample representation. I think that the county commissioners' meetings or business meetings are appropriate, where Dale can go to every one of them, but us guys that work, some of the people that work for a living, up until 2 years ago, I could not attend those meetings. I would like to see some of those meetings be in the evening time, so you can get a broader base, and maybe you can come, some of these folks can come in there and go, and be heard. And also, the doors are always open. I know in the city council, all of our stuff is published. You can walk in, you can call us, you can reach us online, and I think the county commissioners are the same way. Tough job when there's 3 county commissioners. Can you imagine 2 parents that couldn't talk? They can't talk because it's a quorum. The kids would whip your butt in a minute. And that's his problem. The only thing that Cheryl's got a good idea is that Cheryl has her own bathroom. No quorum in there. And Dan Young, I'm going to run for position number 2. Thank you very much.
I'm Joseph Rice. I'm doing position number 2. There's a lot of good ideas that we've heard here tonight. I think everybody in the room knows what's wrong with the problem, what we're facing as a community, as a county. You have to decide who is going to be the leadership in the next 4 years. You need decisive leadership in the county. You need folks with visionary ideas, and you need to move us forward. Our current state, we are headed for a fiscal cliff in 2017. The rocks are coming. The tiller has to be turned away from the rocks in a decisive direction. We're going to need not just our ideas. It's got to be a community idea. We're a representative form of government. I've got plans in the sense of economic development, in the plan for community safety. We've already executed the community safety plan, and the idea is to move it throughout the entire county. We have next door apps that people can look and know what's going on in their street, know your neighbor, develop your community watch, prepare your family for 10 days. Come together as a community. We're fractured right now. If you know your neighbors on your street and you're all watching each other's house, that's going to knock down crime. We have to approach it a different way. They constantly throw money and dollars at it. There has to be a balance, and that's got to be found. Part of it is, I'm not just up here talking. I'm living it. I spend 80% of my time volunteering in this community. I've done safety projects, I've painted horse stalls, I've cleaned up horse stalls at the community fairgrounds. We've had out, and we build every month, we build 1 or 2 ramps for disabled veterans and handicapped at no cost to them. We call it a CAP program, Community Access Program. We're not waiting for government to fix it. We step forward and do it ourselves. Why? It needs to get done. We have the time and we have the resources to do it. We have to continue with that idea and move our people forward. We have to sell Josephine County as a positive place, not a negative place. We should never feel bad for being citizens or living here like we're not doing our civic duty. We are. We just have to learn how to do it within our means. And that's going to take hard decision making, that's going to take constraint, and that's going to take reduction of some government services. That's the reality. Families have done it, businesses have done it. It's time for the county government to do it. I'm Joseph Rice, position number 2. Thank you.
My name is Bill Earl. I'm running for position number 2.
You need a microphone.
Hello, I'm Bill Earl. I'm running for position 3. Can you hear me? Great. First, I want to thank the county fire group for hosting us tonight. What a great group. I have a special love in my life for the first responders. My God, when your house is on fire or you're falling down the stairs, it's really heartwarming to see the first responder come up the driveway. So thank you guys for doing that. If I could, do we have a round of applause? I want to thank all my fellow candidate commissioners here. We're a great group of people, and they all have good ideas. I just say that what we have to be careful, and somebody said it a little different way, we're entering a very dangerous time for the community. Whether you like it or not, we really are short on cash. We've done enormous downsizing, and so it's going to take some very careful and reasonable people to guide this wonderful county in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. I have 3 things that I'm interested in, and the very first one is having 5 commissioners. And thank you, Dale, for speaking so well to this need. Dale has served as our 4th unelected commissioner for how many years, Dale? 12 years. This guy, 12 years he's been the 4th commissioner. It's time that we elect a 4th and a 5th commissioner. And many of the problems that you've heard us discuss tonight is because we don't feel close to our commissioners. They're spread out, there are so many duties. So 5 commissioners on the tax and safety, no new taxes. From my perspective, on economic development, I'm interested in working on the Highway 199 corridor. This is the major road that links up coast with central Oregon. So that's going to be a great opportunity for us. So those are the 3 that we're doing. So I'm just closing by saying thank you for coming tonight. I have a packet for everyone here. It's my complete program. Pick one up, and there's a place on the back for feedback. Bill Earl, running for position 3, County Commissioner. Thank you.
My name is Keith Heck, and I'm a city commissioner running for re-election for position 2. If you listen to the comments that were made tonight, I want to say sort of semi-tongue-in-cheek, I want to thank everybody for endorsing my candidacy. Talk about housing issues. I've been involved with housing issues ever since I became the county. We constructed with a whole host of folks a men's facility, a women's facility, the Gospel Rest Mission, that seats about 80 women and children and 100 plus men. All of those buildings were built. About $7 million was raised, and not a cent of government money was invested to raise to build those 2 facilities. So I've been involved with the Josephine County Housing Commission here as the commissioner, and have been involved in the Illinois Valley with the housing efforts down there, whether the warming centers and those kinds of things. The hard pill to swallow is that since 2010, the county has faced a difficult change of economics. 2010, the sheriff's department had about, or the county had about 600 employees. This year, today, they have about 320. So that's a reduction of almost 50% of the employees out of Josephine County. What really irks me is the idea that somehow the Josephine County Seniors Food Program was trying to be cut by the commissioners. You know, that sounds good in the little sound bites or whatever. The food bank, I happen to be sitting, I'm on the board of the food bank for Josephine County. The housing program, the food bank program is building a whole new facility and in the county, so there's a lot of positives in that. The idea of money, salaries, I have presented every year since I ran, the first year that I ran, and I have said it again this year, I am asking for a salary reduction. The budget committee has not granted it to me. They did not grant it, well, they have not been finally voted yet. But the budget committee has the elected officials employees compensation committee, got all those acronyms. They make a recommendation to the commission about what to spend on the salaries. I do not see the value in asking you to pay for my kindness. I want to see you be able to keep $30,000 more of your money that does not have to go to my salary. The charter called for a salary of $30,000 for a commissioner. For the last 4 years, I have asked for the equivalency, and if you adjust for inflation, 1989 to 2016 is about $70,000. And so if you're interested in this consistency, please contact me, Keith Heck, County Commissioner, Position 2. I have some sign with it.
I really want to thank all of you for coming. It's really nice of you to come out tonight to hear us. I'm Tony Webb. I'm running for position 2. In 2012, I ran for position 2 and came pretty close. Is this better?
Sorry, is this better? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It's not so raspy. Okay, so I ran in 2012, and since then I've stayed very active in the community working on solutions. I've been disappointed to see the sitting commissioners since 2012 do very, very little for economic development. They have not come up with a permanent solution to public safety. In addition to the many great ideas we've had here, I will also be increasing the transparency and citizen involvement. You'll be able to track actual expenditures versus the budget plans and the actual results versus the goals. And as far as involving the citizens, I plan to involve all the citizens. And since Commissioner Heck brought up the Gospel Rescue Mission, I would like to say that during his time there and still today, they do not allow women on the board. And I think that's a travesty for this county. And I will be advocating for all the citizens in the county. So Tony Webb, Position 2. Thank you.
And what I'm going to rebut that. There's a board that ran the Gospel Rescue Mission. I'm running to a personal charge. No, you're not. I lobbied to have the women on the board, and the board turned that down. That was just a fraud. You weren't
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I'm going to tell you something that's going to scare the socks off of you tonight. I was watching TV the other day. I don't mind telling you, since I was born in socialist, communist Slovenia in Europe, 1945. And I had a gift. I can see into things. I can hear people talk, and I can tell a PSer a mile away. The borders are open, and their illegals are coming across here by the millions, from South America, from Central America, from Syria. Obama wants to bring in 200,000 Syrians, and they're not vetted. And there's a housing shortage. And guess what's going to happen? Let's say you have a 2,000 square foot home, and grandma passed away, or your wife passed away, or your husband passed away, and you're kind of by yourself in this home. And you have a 3-bedroom home. There's a housing shortage. Time is coming in the very near future that the government is going to force for you to take someone to live in your home. That's going to happen. Mark my words. Just like I said, they want to put meters on your well and monitor your water consumption. That's coming too, and they're doing it already. They're going to force people to live in your home because they're doing it in Europe already. In Europe, my wife comes from Denmark. Women are there afraid to walk at night. They have to dye their hair from blonde to black because the Arab men are raping them. They're forcing Arabs to live into other people's homes. They're doing it all over Europe, and they're going to do it here. And they're going to force you. If you have a 3-bedroom home and you got 2 bedrooms that are empty, they're going to force you to take someone into your home. And it may not happen in a year or two, but it will happen, and you can take that to the bank. And that's why you don't want to vote for anyone who works for government, like Lily Morgan. She's a PERS recipient. All she will do is raise your taxes to serve the system. You want someone that's an outsider. You do not want to vote, whether it's local, state, or federal, who is an establishment candidate or someone who works for the government, because the person who works for the government will work for the government, not for you. And I'm not politically correct. I will tell you the truth, even if it's unpopular. I told you that about a half hour ago, that I told everyone, don't vote for Obama, he's going to screw this whole country up. And I was called negative and a mudslinger, and you know what, I was right. It's important who you vote for, because not everything that glitters is gold. There's pyrite out there that looks like gold, but it's not gold. There are people that will smile and carry a Bible under their arm, and then they turn around and screw you on Monday. So you have to be very, very careful who you vote for. I'm telling you the truth. Is it time up? Okay. Here you are.
1,654 square miles. That's the size of Josephine County. 70% is controlled by government. Traditionally and historically, that's 67% controlled by the federal agencies where our income came from. We got 2 choices in this county. We can lobby to get that resource back that funded us for over 150 years, or we can watch it burn, because it will burn. Our forests are in catastrophic wildfire danger right now today. You need somebody who's on the Board of Commissioners who understands those federal agencies and who's willing to work for you to make sure that our forests are healthy. If we'll have a healthy forest, we'll begin to have a healthy economy. Our economy needs to be healthy. Our problem right now today is we have a rampant amphetamines and heroin problem. And unfortunately, now all we talk about is marijuana. Okay? I would like to bring the conversation back to the 2 drugs that are really causing most of the property crime in our county. And that's heroin and amphetamines. That's going to take a community effort. It's not going to be a Board of Commissioners that stops that. It's going to take unity of community. If you think electing a commissioner or 2 is going to change your community, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's you. It's you people. Jefferson's birthday is coming up on the 13th. And he's one of my favorite founding fathers. And he says, in America, we don't have a government of the people. We have a government of the people that participate. So I thank you all for participating tonight, and that's why I'm doing this too. I'm participating to make our county better. I've lived here majority of my life. I was born right here in Grants Pass. I know and understand Josephine County better than most people. That gives me an insight and an advantage to help serve you people. I've worked extensively with the Forest Service and the BLM in the past. We can get timber harvest back, even if it's thinning the forest to reduce catastrophic wildfire. This will produce jobs. If we don't build our economy, we're going to continue to have a drug problem in this county. And the drug problem is driving the crime. It's going to take the community to step up to the plate and say, we've had enough. As far as the housing problem goes, it's affordable housing. It's not affordable because people don't have jobs. What do we produce in this county that we sell outside this county that brings money? What do we produce? I know what Mark will say, we're going to produce marijuana, and he's right. And you know what? Most of that marijuana is going to leave the state illegally. Okay? And what's happening is we're bringing organized crime into our county. If you don't think it's organized crime behind the heroin, behind the amphetamines, you're mistaken. And right now, with the money that marijuana is going to bring in, I'm not opposed to marijuana. I think there's really medicinal purposes to it. Thank you. Ron Smith, position 3.
I want to take this time to really thank County Fire because I talked to several of the candidates. And we were going to host this at our. And I called Dan Trader and he said, yeah, great, let's have it here. So these guys have really worked hard to make this as presentable as it was tonight. So thank you guys. Thank all of you guys. Do you have forms here? Is anyone here not a registered voter?